What's going on, everybody? Ryan Newpel here, Knup Sports Show, episode 181. We're up to 181 episodes. Super excited for today's show. We have another great guest on today. Maybe a little different guest than we've typically had on this show. You know, a lot of times we're covering iGaming professionals or sports betting professionals. Today, we actually have an author. We have a true sports, a true football fan, obviously studies the game, and we're excited to kind of dive into what he's been doing and touch on his book as well. But first off, hope you're enjoying football. We had week 1 of the NFL last week, week 2 of college football. This week's a huge week for a lot of teams, so I'm excited to see what happens this week. But without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest. We have Mr. Larry Hart. Larry Hart of the University of Houston with us today. Larry, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing really, really well. I appreciate you having me on, Ryan. I'm thankful for this opportunity. I'm doing great, though. Thank you.
Well, I'm really excited to talk to you as well. But first off, you're a college football coach at the University of Houston. You have a big football game this weekend. I know you've had a couple already, but another big one. You're probably preparing and getting ready for that as we speak, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're in preparation mode. So today is the last tough day of preparation in terms of just ironing out any other logistics and going through situational football, making sure those things are in place and lined up and ready to go. So yeah, today's the last day. Then Friday we'll walk through some stuff, and Saturday's game day. Yep.
I mean, I don't want this to be all about coaching or anything, but I think
No, it's okay.
no. But what I'm saying, what I wanted to say is, I don't think people understand the level of preparation that has to go into coaching. I'd love for you to touch a little bit on that, because I think,
Yeah.
you know, from a high level college football program and all the coaches involved, I mean, I think it's a all day, every day effort to make something like this happen and to have a
Yeah.
successful team. Correct?
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk through a typical game week, right? So Saturday, you obviously play the game. And then Sunday, you come in around 10:30, 11, and then you're here from 10:30 in the morning to about 8:30, 9 at night, okay, on Sunday. And you start, you review your last game and you start kind of preparing for your next opponent. Then Monday is your big preparation day in terms of putting together your game plan for the next upcoming opponent. So you'll get here probably about 6:30 on Monday, and we'll leave about 8:30 Monday evening. And then, we practice Tuesday morning. So Tuesday is your big prep day. And so
Yep.
Tuesday, you practice 8:30 in the morning. And so on Tuesdays, we'll probably leave we'll leave at 7 at night. And then Wednesday, get here at 7, leave at 9. Then Thursday's a little bit shorter, right? So you get here about 8 o'clock on Thursday, leave about 6 in the evening. And then Friday, obviously you travel and, you stay at the hotel, and then Saturday you play. And that's on repeat from about August till December.
Such a
So,
grind, such a grind. And I mean, but it's your passion. Obviously, it's what you love, because you got to. If you're
yeah,
going to put
you
in that
love it.
much time, right? You got to.
Yeah, you love it, man. It's nothing else that I'd rather do. You get to impact so many kids, and you're around so many
Yeah.
people from different backgrounds and different cultures. It's such a unique place, and it's. The opportunity to impact young men is awesome. And then when you ever get that text from a kid, a couple that you coached a couple years ago, and they say, "Coach, I appreciate everything that you've done for me. I'm doing well, and I remember the lessons that you taught me." Those things are just priceless, man. At the end of the
Really
day.
are. They really are. So tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got into coaching. You know, did you play football? What your
Yeah.
path was leading up to coaching, and then ultimately writing a book, which we're going to dive into here in a bit. But tell me a little bit about that path getting you there.
Yeah, so I started playing football when I was a seventh grader, and so I was probably around 12 years old, and I played football all the way through high school, obviously, and college, and kind of, let's talk about this a little bit, Ryan. That coming out of high school, I wasn't a qualifier, so I had to go to the junior college route. Okay, and so coming out of high school, I had about a half scholarship offer to a junior college. Okay, and then from there, I earned a full ride scholarship to a junior college. Then I earned a full ride to a school called University of Central Arkansas, and I had a great
Mhm.
career at Central Arkansas. And then I got drafted into the NFL by the Jacksonville Jaguars in the
Wow,
fifth round, right?
cool.
And so football has just always kind of been my passion. I always loved it. And so even when I was in high school, I knew I wanted to coach. Okay. And throughout my career as a football player and a coach, that's kind of, and some of the lessons that I learned along the way. One of the big lessons was, Ryan, that everybody's path is different. Like I wasn't a 4 or a 5 star, but I still was able to get to the NFL, or I was still able to accomplish my goals, right? Which was to get a degree, get an education, all that. So I think that that's kind of what inspired me to write the book was that my path was different from everybody else's a little bit, right? And so because everybody's not going to be Adrian Peterson coming out of high school or Chase Young, right? Where you're a 5-star, go to Ohio State, get drafted #1 overall. And and so I just think that in the book that first thing in the book, I talked about, knowing your why and why do you want to play football, because you have to be passionate about it. You have to love it, because people see individuals scoring touchdowns on Saturday, but what you don't see is the grind in August, right? The summer and August, it is a grind mentally and physically, so you really have to love it to be able to do it. So I really talk about that, because when you fall on hard times, and if you don't really love something, then you're kind of going to fall to the wayside, so to speak.
So, I want to dive into your book a little bit further, and I'm going to pull it up here on the side as well. I'll actually pull up the Amazon screen, but the book's called The Recruits Playbook, a 4-year guide to college football recruiting for high school athletes. Okay. And so, that's really a long statement there. And it's so funny because these days, every athlete thinks they're going to be recruited and they think they're going to be the next big thing. So my first question is this book written towards the player and the kids, or towards the parents that are bringing these kids up? Because I'm just curious of that answer first.
Yeah, it's written primarily for the student athletes, but obviously it's the parents. It's really good for the parents to know as well. So I would say it's a combination of both. I think parents can learn a lot from it, and the recruits too.
So tell me a little bit more about it. So tell me a bit about kind of the flow of it, what we talk about, what we go through. Is it really focused mainly on football, or is this for any type of athlete?
Yeah. For any high school athlete, I really believe that this is great information. So the flow of the book, Ryan, first off, I try to set the foundation first, right? Know your why. Why are you getting into college athletics? I think that it's so important to have that foundational piece, because what I've over the years of being in coaching, going into my 8th year now, that what you see is that um, the challenges that come along with playing college athletics between there's so many distractions out there now, right? Between social media, the pressure to win, what people have to say. It's a lot of things going on. And so what I want the student athletes to focus on is what's really the main thing, what's really important, right? And what's important is for you to develop as an individual and as a person, right? Because these 4 years is what's going to set up the next 40 years of your life, the relationships that you build and all that. So how do you put yourself in the best position, first off, to grow as an individual, right? And so don't fall in love with if you want to get into college athletics just because you want to go to school for free, that's not going to sustain you. Okay. What really sustains you is you having the passion to do it. So I'm clear about that up front, right? And then I dive more into the recruiting process and what coaches are thinking and how to understand and navigate it, right? And how to promote yourself the proper way, how to build relationships properly. And so I just go through a lot of the fine details to help kids get that foundation first, right? Because sometimes you can fall in love with a lot of other things, social media and all these other things going on, and you miss the main thing. And so probably the best example that I can kind of give you, Ryan, is a lot of people want to be successful, right? Which is nothing wrong with that. But you have to be willing to do the things that it takes to be successful, right? You have to embrace the mundane. You have to embrace the day-to-day grind, where say for instance in football, there's going to be some days where your shoulders hurt, your back hurt, uh, you're upset with your mom, you have this going on, you have that going on, but you still have to show up every day to come to work and do your job every day. And You got school, you got girls, it's just the reality. You got homework, you got coaches yelling at you. I mean, it is a lot on your plate that you're going to have to learn how to balance, and you have to have that foundation. And so that's where I kind of start first, where kids can understand that, and then transition more into the recruiting process of how it works, and just encouraging kids to understand like GPA, um, the NCAA guidelines, what's a core GPA, the 48H form. I get into a lot of details from there, right? And then I walk them through ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade on some details.
What's really fascinating to me is that so far I haven't even heard the word like talent or being like really good at the sport or anything like that, which is kind of funny to me because you obviously have to be talented at whatever sport you're going to play. You obviously have to be skilled and have some skills, but there's so much more that goes into it, from a mentality and mental toughness, a discipline, a just work ethic side of things. There's so much talent out there, right? There's so much talent out there. You have to be able to
100%.
set yourself apart in some other way. I just find it fascinating that, I think a lot of kids think, oh, I just got to be the best. And if I'm not the best on my team, no way I'm playing college football. That's not necessarily true.
No doubt. Ryan, I've seen so many times where I've had individuals that have NFL ability, and that, and they get in their own way just because they're struggling with whatever distraction that's going on. They're frustrated, whatever's going back at home. And guys, you have to. It's one thing to have the talent, but to go out there and do it every day is another thing, man. It takes a lot of mental toughness to be able to be successful, and that's probably at any job. You can be a Harvard graduate, but if you can't speak in front of people, or you're nervous or whatever, so it takes a lot to be successful at whatever you want to do, right?
Let's talk about the future of recruiting and kind of where it's heading a little bit. And I don't know, maybe I haven't read the book fully, so I don't know if you touch on some of this, but it was written back in 2021. So things have actually changed a little bit since then on the
Yeah.
recruiting scene, right? I mean, you have transfer portals and you have all this stuff going on now with athletes and NIL, and they're looking to make money, and there's all these other dynamics that kind of go into like where a kid may want to go to college and all of that. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, another piece that kind of goes into it right now, and I know this firsthand because I have a son playing college basketball here in Florida, but the whole like COVID era where there's kids playing fifth and sixth, seventh year seniors or whatever it is, it's very tough for incoming recruits to kind of fit into that. I'm curious to get your thought process on all of that. I know I loaded that question, but your thought process on NIL, fifth year seniors and all the above.
Yeah, the NIL is going to get a little crazy, right? I think that it's beneficial to players, obviously, and I think that it's a great opportunity for players.
Yeah.
I just think that again for players, it's what you have to it's a lot to manage, Ryan. Just because if
Sure.
you don't ever, I think what's more important is relationships. Not you don't ever want to be bought, so to speak, right? You want to put yourself in a situation where you know that you can grow and develop as a person and as a football player. I think that that's the main thing. And
Yeah.
if you can get NIL deal, I think that's great if you can get that. But the main important thing is just to focus on you getting what you need to be the most successful, and that you can be the best version of yourself. Put yourself in that position first from that lens, and then go. If you can get an NIL deal from there, I think that's great. And again, it's not the NIL is, they're not just giving that to anybody. I think probably the majority of college players are not getting NIL deals, right? And if you can, great. Go ahead, Ryan. I
want to jump in there because I'm curious from your perspective. Like, does NIL play? Like, does that discussion come up in the recruiting side now? Like, coaches talking to players and players, oh, I'm going to get an NIL deal. I want to go somewhere. I'm getting a deal. Like, is that kind of part of the dynamic now when you're recruiting players, that they all have this expectation of that?
Yeah, I think it does. I know for us, we're trying to create a situation where we're trying to get a pool of money, NIL deals, and we're trying to build something in that area to help us in recruiting. As right now, because we're transitioning from the American Athletic Conference into the Big 12, so we're trying to put ourselves in a situation where that we do have NIL money to be able to give to kids. Like we want to be able to do that and provide a situation for kids like that. That does help tremendously in recruiting. We're not there yet, but we're trying to build to get to that point, right? To make us the most competitive that in the recruiting process, to get to where you want to be. Because competing in the Big 12, obviously, we're going to be going against Oklahoma State, Baylor, some of those guys. So, you want to put yourself in a position to be to recruit the best to recruit the best talent for sure.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, the NIL is certainly a vast subject that we could probably talk all day on or whatever.
100%.
But, I guess to get back to the book a little bit. So a 4-year guide, how's the sales going from now more of a business side? How's it going? I mean, you have it up on Amazon, right? Have you got some great testimonials here from some really high profile people, which is a testimony to you and your relationships that you built as well. How's from the business side, the book going?
It's going well, Ryan, for the most part. I think that the COVID year kind of slowed it down a little bit because that's actually when it came out was during the COVID year, right? Or when I first published it. Or I'm sorry, that's when I kind of started the process during the COVID year. So I think that made it a little bit of a challenge. But for the most part, I think it's been going really well. And now I'm trying to really ramp up some of the marketing things by talking to guys like yourself and getting the information out there, because I do believe that the information is really, really good, because I really haven't seen any information that really talks high school kids through the recruiting process and parents. Because one thing that I've seen too, and what kind of inspired me, is I'll be talking to kids and they'll be waiting on a big, big offer, right? And I'm like, dude, you have a full ride scholarship to where you can get out of college debt free, and you're going to pass this opportunity because you're waiting on the big college. And I don't know if you ever heard this before, but a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, right?
That's
You ever
right.
heard that one?
I have.
So it's I just talk through things like that, man. And I think it's just such a beneficial information for kids that I wish I would have known myself, right, to take advantage of.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And just going through this process here recently, it is such a gray area. You feel like from the parent side who maybe has a kid who wants to play, sometimes you feel like nothing's happening, right? You feel like, nothing's really happening, or this, I don't know. You kind of, and so I think this guide would be a great kind of step-by-step to kind of show, okay, how are we going to get through this process? What are the types of things we should be doing as parents and as athletes to kind of get noticed or get into that right spot, right?
Yeah. Ryan, the big thing is that I wanted people to get from the book is to stimulate creativity. Okay. Because one of the things is, it's like I said, everybody's path is not going to be the same. Everybody's not going to go to Alabama or LSU, Clemson. Everybody's not going to go there. Right. So, but there are plenty of other opportunities for you to go play college football or to get your school paid for. There are a lot of opportunities out there. And so what I encourage kids to do is to reach out to a lot of schools and try to send your film to as many people, go follow as many coaches on Twitter, interact with them, update your huddle film. And then, during the summer, go to camps, right? Make yourself present, go put a face with a name. So if you've been hitting up a coach on Twitter, you got a little response back, go to those football camps, be the first in the line, be the hardest working guy at the camp. Because you can leave an impression on coaches. So I just talked through a lot of those different things to get yourself recruited, because if you're not getting attention from some of the bigger schools, man, there's still an opportunity for you to get a scholarship. So it's just really, man, navigating through. Obviously, man, if you're a big time recruit, I think it's a little bit easier on you. But what about those guys that's not getting recruited as much or have that opportunity? What do you do then? Right. So that's where I try to touch on, because that's kind of was my path, Ryan, where I was a junior college player. I have scholarships. So I was like, man, do I really want to play college football because I'm not getting what I want? Right. So what do I do there? So I'm just trying to help kids to understand how to problem solve, how to navigate the unknown. What if I'm in this situation? What if I'm in that situation? So to stimulate that creativity, because again, I think that translates so much to life is the picture isn't always going to be clear.
Yeah.
So what do? What if I get rejected here? What if I get rejected there? So stimulating that creativity of learning how to problem solve and basically overcome adversity.
Some there. I really appreciate you jumping in here and really giving us some kind of in behind the scenes look at recruiting and how that goes. The Recruits Playbook. Where can people pick up a copy of it? I know I put the Amazon link up, and I'll actually put that in the thing. But is that where they should go to grab a copy?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Come on, Amazon is the best way to go.
Beast. It's the beast. Yeah, where else, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. And what if somebody wanted to get a hold of you and chat with you, Larry? What's the best way?
Twitter. Twitter is a great way. Hit me up on Twitter, man. I'll definitely interact with them.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate you sharing your insight. Good luck this weekend. Kansas, right? Got a big matchup against Kansas.
Yeah, we do, man. They're a tough team, man. They're like the number one scoring offense in the country. So we got to do a good job of trying to slow those guys down.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Appreciate you. If I can do anything to help you, let me know. We'll make sure to put all the links out here and get some people signing up.
Thank you so much, Ryan, and you have a great one, man.
All right, Larry. Take care. All right, that was Larry Hart, the Recruits Playbook. Really excited to have him on. Please go out, grab a copy of the Recruits Playbook. You can get it out on Amazon, paperback, $15 it looks like. Kindle, you can grab it for $8. So go out, grab a copy, especially if you have an up-and-coming athlete that's looking to potentially get recruited and play any college sport. But this is really specific to college football scholarships. So make sure to go out and grab a copy of that. Again, I'm Ryan Nupel at KNUP out on all the social medias. Really appreciate your attention. Hopefully you enjoyed episode 181 of the show. If you do know a guest that would be a good on here, sports business, sports betting, iGaming, please let me know. Shoot me a message on any of the social media platforms. All right, until next time, take care, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.